Cloudtail is a long-haired, fluffy white tom with blue eyes. He was born the Leaf Bear after his uncle Fireheart joined ThunderClan. His mother, Princess, was a kitty pet, but she had heard stories of clan life from her brother, and she decided that she wanted her firstborn kit to be raised as a clan cat. Fireheart brought him to the clan, where he was given the name Cloudkit, and was raised by Brindleface alongside her two remaining kits, Fernkit and Ashkit. She loved him like her own, and treated him just like the others. In fact, she actually didn't tell him that he was born as a kitty pet, which came as quite a shock to him when Fireheart told him about it. Like all kits, he enjoyed playing and was very adventurous, which often resulted in him getting into trouble. At only a few moons old, Cloudkit heard that the clan needed fresh kill, and got the idea that he and his den mates would go out to hunt. He managed to catch his first prey, a vole, despite his young age and the fact that the snow was as tall as Cloudkit himself. Of course, he wasn't supposed to be leaving the camp, so Bluestar wasn't exactly pleased with him. In another instance, he tried to join a battle party and had to be sent home. The trouble he got into wasn't always his fault, though. There was one time he accidentally got separated from his littermates while Brindleface had them out in the forest, and he ended up getting attacked by a badger. Fireheart, Sandstorm, and Brackenpaw saved him. Later, he saw Fireheart and Graystripe sneaking out of camp and tracked them to the river. Cloudkit was often assigned to take care of the elders as punishment, and he and the elders grew fond of each other because of this. He would help them out even after his punishments were over, and they enjoyed telling him stories. At the age of 6 moons, Cloudpaw finally became an apprentice, and his uncle Fireheart was assigned as his mentor. Right afterward, Fireheart brought Cloudpaw to meet his birth mother, Princess, for the first time. It was Cloudpaw who first discovered that Tigerclaw had brought rogues into ThunderClan territory when he planned to kill Bluestar, and Fireheart had him go get the other patrols to bring them back to camp. Although they hadn't been training for long, Fireheart knew that his apprentice had the intelligence and potential to be a strong warrior one day. However, Cloudpaw kept up his independent streak as an apprentice, and often found himself at odds with his mentor. This was especially true after Fireheart discovered that Cloudpaw was getting fat for eating kitty pet food. He tried to teach his nephew that he couldn't live with the paw in each world, but Cloudpaw didn't see anything wrong with what he was doing. Then, one day, while Cloudpaw was visiting the Two Legs, they shut him in a cage and drove away with him. Fireheart tried to chase after, but it was hopeless, and he feared that Cloudpaw would be lost forever. Although Cloudpaw himself didn't realize it, they actually didn't take him too far away. He was brought to a two-leg nest near Ravenpaw's barn. About a moon after he arrived, he met Ravenpaw. The loner recognized that Cloudpaw had ThunderClan scent, so he went and found Fireheart, who helped Cloudpaw escape. Cloudpaw's short time as a kitty pet taught him that that wasn't the life for him after all, and that his heart truly belonged with ThunderClan. Bluestar accepted Cloudpaw's return. Fireheart agreed to let the clan think that Cloudpaw was taken completely against his will, as long as he'd work hard at his training from then on. Cloudpaw kept his promise and became an apprentice that Fireheart was proud of. He gained the trust of his den mates, and became especially close to Brightpaw. Finally, Fireheart suggested to Bluestar that it was time that Cloudpaw and the other apprentices became warriors. Due to Bluestar's declining mental state and paranoia, however, she decided to only promote Cloudpaw, especially after he made it known to the clan that he didn't believe in StarClan. Bluestar gave him the name Cloudtail after their patrol fought in a battle against RiverClan at Sunning Rocks. As he sat vigil that night, Swiftpaw and Brightpaw decided that they needed to do something brave so that Bluestar wouldn't go on ignoring them. They snuck past Cloudtail and out of the camp to go find the dog that was loose in the forest, and Firmpaw reported this in the morning. Fireheart and Cloudtail led a patrol to find the missing apprentices, and found that they had been mauled by dogs. Swiftpaw had been killed, but Brightpaw was alive and badly injured. Cloudtail refused to leave her side as her life hung in the balance. Bluestar spoke of a ceremony that could be held to give the dying apprentice a warrior name, and Cloudtail ordered his leader to perform it, but to his dismay, Bluestar gave Brightpaw the new name Lostface. It didn't take long for him to refuse to call her by this cruel name, and he was there for her throughout her recovery. One day, Longtail reported seeing Tigerstar on their territory, giving prey to a pack of dogs at Snake Rocks. Fireheart and Cloudtail went to investigate, and quickly found that Tigerstar had laid a trail of dead rabbits leading toward the camp, and at the end of the trail was the body of Cloudtail's adopted mother, Brindleface. He and Brindleface's kits, Ashpaw and Fernpaw, buried her as the clan put together a plan to deal with the dogs. Fireheart assigned Cloudtail to watch over the clan as they sheltered at Sunning Rocks, and they remained safe while the dogs were dealt with. Bluestar died in the struggle with the dogs, and Fireheart became leader. Cloudtail suggested that Firestar change Lostface's name, and Firestar agreed, giving her the new name Brightheart. Cloudtail and his mate were delighted, and together they began to train, developing a fighting method for her that she could manage with one eye and one ear. They got the opportunity to use these moves not long afterward, when a group of rogues called Blood Clan was brought into the forest by Tigerstar. Their leader, Scourge, had killed Tigerstar, and then demanded that the clans leave in 3 days or that they'd fight. The clans chose to band together to fight Blood Clan. Cloudtail even faced Scourge himself during the battle, but then Firestar returned from losing one of his 9 lives and finished off the evil cat. Not long after the battle, Cloudtail received his first apprentice, Ravenpaw. He was a good mentor, and especially did his best to help keep Ravenpaw busy when the apprentice's mother, Willowpelt, died. Brightheart and Cloudtail soon had their first kit, Whitekit, who would eventually receive the name Whitewing. Blood Clan returned and caused more trouble for ThunderClan, first attacking when Firestar was away on his quest, and then again later on after he had returned. Cloudtail was part of the patrol that went into Two Leg Place to deal with them, as well as the one that went to Barley and Ravenpaw's farm to help drive out the group of former Blood Clanners there. The clan had a few moons of peace, during which time Cloudtail's apprentice Ravenpaw became a warrior, but it wouldn't be long before things changed forever. Cloudtail was present when Two Legs cut down the first tree in the forest. Things got worse, with more and more of the forest being destroyed and prey disappearing. One day, while Cloudtail and Brightheart were out together, they came upon a strange, small den with kitty pet food in it. Desperate and starving as they were, they went inside to eat it, but it ended up being a trap. The cage closed behind them, and they were brought by Two Legs to a den where many other cats were being kept. Eventually, ThunderClan realized where they were, and a party was sent to rescue the missing clan cats. Cloudtail and Brightheart, as well as their clanmate Leafpaw, were able to escape and return to ThunderClan. The clans made the decision to leave the forest, and they journeyed over the mountains to find a new home around a lake. Cloudtail helped patrol and make the new territory feel like home, and he and Brightheart were put in charge of camp on the night that Mudclaw rebelled against One Whisker. One of Cloudtail's patrols discovered the horseplace cat, Daisy, on their territory with her kits. The clan allowed her to stay with them, and Cloudtail did his best to make her feel welcome and to try to train her. He felt especially defensive when Brambleclaw pointed out that Daisy and her kits were kitty pets, since Cloudtail himself had been a kitty pet once. Cloudtail's attention to Daisy got to the point that Daisy developed feelings for him, and Brightheart began to feel that Cloudtail liked Daisy more than her, until Leafpool gave him a bit of a reminder that his mate needed him. A horde of badgers attacked ThunderClan's camp. Cloudtail fought in the battle, helping move Daisy's kits out of harm's way, and later had a claw torn out in the fight. Daisy later brought her kits back to the barn when Berrykit's tail got caught in a fox trap, but Cloudtail brought up patrol and encouraged them to return to the clan. While there, he ate the barn cat's kitty pet food, showing that he hadn't entirely lost his taste for it. Sometime later, Cloudtail was given his second apprentice, Sorreltail's kit, Cinderpaw. While she and the other apprentices were being assessed, Mousepaw got stuck in a tree, and Cinderpaw tried to help. This resulted in her falling and hurting her leg, in an injury similar to the one that her namesake Cinderpelt had had. He was cautious about letting her try her final assessment if she wasn't fully recovered, but Leafpool gave the go-ahead. Cinderpaw ended up re-injuring her leg, but eventually recovered and became a warrior with the name Cinderheart. Cloudtail is proud of her. During the Battle of the Eclipse, Cloudtail was sent to lead a patrol after enemy warriors, putting his tracking skills to good use. Not long afterward, while Soul still held sway over ShadowClan, Cloudtail and his patrol discovered Tawnypelt and their kits crossing into their territory. They were welcomed into the clan, and were allowed to stay as long as they wanted. Cloudtail was assigned as her son Flamepaw's mentor while they were there, but eventually Blackstar found his faith in StarClan again and kicked Soul out, and Tawnypelt and their family returned to ShadowClan. Brightheart and Cloudtail grew sick with ring cough shortly after this, but they made a full recovery. Cloudtail continued to be a good mentor. His third official apprentice was Daisy's kit Toadstep, and for a short time he took over as Cherry Fall's mentor while Foxleaf was injured. Cloudtail and Brightheart had a second litter of kits. They were already grandparents, and she was old to be kidding at her age, but everything went fine, and she gave birth to 3 kits, who would eventually earn the names Ambermoon, Snowbush, and Dewknose. This was right around the time that the clans discovered that the Dark Forest planned to attack, however, and Cloudtail feared for his family's safety. He could also scarcely believe that they would have to face dead cats, since he had never believed in StarClan. He fought fiercely in the battle, especially against Darkstripe, and ended up being badly injured, but he survived. Firestar, his leader, uncle, and former mentor, died in the battle, and Cloudtail greatly missed him, but he helped encourage ThunderClan's new leader, Bramblestar. Cloudtail continued to serve as a senior warrior for the clan throughout the trouble with Darktail and his kin. Finally, after SkyClan had settled in at the lake, Cloudtail and Brightheart retired to the Elder's Den after a long career. From mentoring several apprentices to being the clan's best tracker and a good climber, Cloudtail proved to be an excellent warrior for the clan, despite his hot-headedness and sharp tongue. Nobody knew what to expect when the kitty pet princess gave up her firstborn kit, but Cloudtail has become a cat that will likely be remembered and honored for seasons to come.